Great. So we'll make a start. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining me this evening. As I mentioned, I'm up in Fiji at the moment on the boat. So it's lovely to be up here this season and enjoying the fun with the rally with everybody else this time around. So last year I wasn't very well, so I missed out on all the fun. So it's really awesome to be up here on my own boat this year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to telling you a bit more about the Pacific Rally and our plans for next year, and hopefully inspiring you to join us to come along and take part if you're not already registered. We hope you can come along and be a part of it next year. So Island Cruising, it's been around for 41 years this year, and I've been the owner of it since 2021. It's was set up in the mid 1980s to help people encourage yachties to go up and visit Tonga, and since then it's evolved into what it is now, about 250 boats, give or take, each season, enjoying a flexible rally format around the islands. So I'm really lucky to be supported by an incredible team of women. We've got Gemma here next to me. She's up in Tonga at the moment. She helps out with a lot of the social side of things. Cecile, she works with all our partners and events, arranging all the pre-departure events and negotiating some special amazing deals for you guys to get sort of great discounts on your boat jobs and that sort of thing. And Tara over here on the right, she does our monthly magazine, and she is also coming sailing with me in Vanuatu next month, which I'm really excited about as well. So Tara's our sort of our graphic designer and social media, that sort of thing. So, what is a rally? And a rally is probably not the best way to describe what we do. You know, people kind of imagine that a rally is people sailing from one destination to the next, all holding hands and going from one place to the next. Our rally is flexible. So, rally, as I mentioned, is probably not the best word for it, but I haven't come up with a better word for it yet. We help you spend a lot of time getting ready before you get going, before you set sail, so that you feel confident and prepared to depart, and then support you whilst you're on the passage, providing you the resources when you're underway to save you lots of time from doing all the research. Obviously, connecting you with everyone else heading your direction and having lots of fun on the way. But you're very welcome to choose your own dates and destinations. There's no requirement to sail to any kind of schedule or set itinerary. Everyone's got a different thing that they're planning on doing, and this allows you the flexibility to do that without while still being part of a really fun group along the way. So we welcome all kinds of vessels, obviously monohulls, catamarans, sailboats, and also powerboats. So we haven't got too many this year. There was a bit of uncertainty this year about the fuel situation, but well, last year, the previous year, 24, we had 13 powerboats on the rally. So yachts and powerboats are welcome. And we've had vessels from as small as 30 foot up to about 75 foot. So like a small super yacht, if you like. So any kind of vessel is welcome on the rally. Just a quick geography lesson for you. We've got people starting the rally from Australia. We've obviously got people also departing from New Zealand. And we also pick up people on the rally starting from French Polynesia as well. And from New Zealand and Australia, most of the places are sort of all within a thousand nautical mile trip, which is for most boats sailing at an average about 6.5 knots, is about a week away. So New Zealand to Tonga, Fiji, Vanuatu, or Noumea. The Australians can choose to cross the Tasman and join us to go up to Tonga, or the Australians can choose to depart from the Gold Coast, head over to Noumea, and then hop across, make their way east from there as well. And then French Polynesia is sort of from where people depart from to join the rally. We just look after the Southwest Pacific part of the Pacific. So we provide content for them through the Cook Islands, Niue, Samoa, Tonga, and then they can choose whether they come to New Zealand or continue on west to Australia. So the sailing season is very dictated by the weather, and this is a picture of all the tropical cyclones. So cyclone season runs from November through until April each season, and typically people will be south of a certain latitude during that time. Their insurance companies often require them to be south of a certain latitude during the November to April season. So at that time of the year, most people will likely still be cruising around Australia and New Zealand. And then when May comes around, that's the time that everyone hops north up to the islands and starts their cruising. And then everyone returns again to New Zealand or Australia around mid-October time. Some people stay up in the islands, and that's entirely possible as well for people that are happy to sort of be up there and be on watch for the cyclones that come along. So, but that's something that is possible as well, and a lot of people do that. And also the way that people move across the Pacific is very dictated by the weather. So down here in New Zealand and Australia, we're typically, or in southern Australia parts, we're in the westerlies belt. So all of our weather systems from New Zealand typically come from Australia and move across the Tasman Sea and head off to the east. And then as you get further north, above 30 degrees south, you're in the southeast trade wind zone. And typically the southeast trades blow pretty consistently all year or all throughout the season anyway. So most people will be starting their voyage. If you're starting from New Zealand, you'd start in Tonga and then you'd have the wind behind you. It's pretty relatively easy to get from Tonga to Fiji to Vanuatu to New Caledonia and either onto Australia and back to New Zealand again. For those in Australia that are heading across the Tasman, they can take advantage of the westerlies to get to New Zealand and then join us again to go up to Tonga. Or for those in Australia, they'll start in Australia and then hop up, wait for a break in the trades, hop up to New Caledonia and again wait for the break in the trades to get across. And that's entirely doable as well. Now, this is a typical weather pattern. This year in New Zealand, we had some quite interesting weather. We didn't have our usual high low pressure systems that were coming along. We were sort of having all these nasty little low pressure systems develop up in the tropics and kind of roar down through the Minerva kind of region, which was making it very difficult for those in New Zealand to get up to Tonga and Fiji. Some people bailed out on that idea and sailed over to New Caledonia instead because that was a window that they were able to take. So being flexible is good, but typically that's what people will do with the weather is they'll start in the east and work their way west, unless you're from Australia, in which case you'll work your way gradually east as you've got those breaks in the trade winds, but much easier generally to go the opposite direction. This is just another map sort of showing a similar sort of idea of which way people kind of typically go with their routes. And again, the rally's really flexible. So you could go New Zealand up to Tonga, spend 6 weeks there and cruise to Fiji and then back to New Zealand. Some people just do Fiji for the season or just Tonga for the season. Some people like me want to skip through the whole thing. So I'm going to go Tonga, Fiji, Vanuatu, New Caledonia, back to New Zealand. So you can choose your own itinerary and you don't need to decide any of this even before you set sail. You know, it's very flexible. All the content is there for you to tap into and you can just decide as you go along or have a bit more of a fixed plan. It's entirely up to you. So if you're dreaming of sailing the South Pacific, how do you take the first step? And I know many of you are probably already members of Island Cruising, and for those of you who aren't, if you're looking at going next year or at some stage in the future, I highly recommend you join us as a member, and that's a way of starting your planning and preparation. It's just $129 and you get to access some of our online training and stay in touch with what's going on in the rally and tap into lots of other discounts and other bits and pieces that we've got going on as well. Step 2 is joining the rally and we'll help you with everything you need to go for heading offshore. And it's a great way to sort of commit to a date that you're actually going to get going. You pay your deposit and that's your line in the sand. You know that sort of in 2027, hopefully in May, you'll be getting going and just kind of helps motivate you to start getting those preparations and stuff underway. Step 3 is obviously going sailing and we'll help support you along the way. And step 4 is returning home or carrying on beyond and we'll help you with that as well. The membership and entitles you to access some of our training preparation or cruising preparation workshops. There's all sorts of modules on our websites, including a video training series as well, which John from Down Under Rally put together a few years ago. There's lots of templates and that kind of stuff as well. So again, if you're thinking about doing this at some stage in the future, joining as a member is a great way that you can kind of take that first step and start biting off some of those little things that you can do early on. We have lots of training webinars like this for people along the way. So we have sessions with our partners, marine partners, talking about various bits and pieces and other things like that as well. So there's lots of social side of things, and you get discounts on all sorts of extra things like getting extra training done, such as your offshore medic course and getting first aid kits and that kind of thing. And having really good medical training and a really good medical kit is essential for going offshore. There are often things that kind of happen. You're in a remote place, and the medical facilities up here aren't exactly great. So, having a really good kit and at least some basic knowledge yourself of how to look after the crew and the crew to look after you if you're the one that's injured, I highly recommend that you and your crew do the marine medic courses, and they go a bit further than just your typical workplace first aid. Obviously, you kind of come across some things that are going to happen that you haven't got an ambulance just around the corner to come and help you. And just to give you a bit of an idea, we've got a few injuries here. We've got a broken leg here. This is an artificial knee that broke halfway back from New Caledonia to New Zealand a few years ago. This guy here got bitten by a fish that they'd caught on the way to Tonga, and they managed to staple his wound up. And they were on the phone to the Rescue Coordination Centre, who put them through to a doctor and told them which antibiotics to give the guy, and he recovered very well, which was amazing. This was a skipper who crushed his hand in the main sheet, and he had a very painful injury as well, which meant that they were sort of the skipper was unable to do some of the heavy lifting and things on board. So having good gear and good knowledge is really important for going offshore. And another thing to do as well is to get your sea survival certificate. So we've got great deals with Skipper Training and Paper Sailors Rock. Skipper Training is in New Zealand, Paper Sailors Rock's in Australia. And this is where you learn about safety systems on your boat, and you get to do some fun practical drills, such as getting into the pool with your life jacket on, trying to swim together as a team, getting in and out of a life raft and setting off flares and that kind of stuff. So it's a really good kind of practical hands-on experience and gets you sort of thinking about the safety systems on your boat as well. Step two, as I mentioned, we're joining the rally. We sort of set the date and ramp up the preparations, and we give you lots of extra content and workshops and modules to work through, including a vessel manual like this one, which is set up with all the Cat 1 safety regulations. And for New Zealand registered vessels, Category 1 has changed now into what's called the International Voyage Certificate. It's like a safety standard that New Zealand registered vessels need to meet to go offshore. And you need to have a safety check before you go offshore. All other registered vessels don't need to have the safety check or meet the requirement, but I highly recommend that everyone does aim to be at a Cat 1 level. It really is everything that you need to have for going to make sure that your boat is really well prepared before you head offshore. So you can focus on getting the boat ready, and we can help direct you and keep prompting you with everything else that you need to know along the way. So as I mentioned before, Category 1 is now called the IVC, which is run by Maritime New Zealand. It's nothing to be afraid of. You'll hear all these old guys in the yacht club bar talking about how difficult it is to get your Cat 1 certificate and how Maritime New Zealand are just making it too hard. Don't listen to those guys. Honestly, there's so much misinformation out there about getting Cat 1, and it's really not a high bar to achieve. It's the stuff that they want you to have on your boat is really as important safety gear that you should have anyway. So don't be afraid. We'll help guide you through every step of the process and make sure that you tick all the boxes that they need to fly through with flying colours. We also do passage planning, training, and webinars. You get a chart in your rally pack. We do lots of navigation kind of stuff. And if you want to brush up on your navigation skills, if you haven't done any navigation training before, then we've got special discounts on RYA online navigation courses as well, which I highly recommend you do, because it's a bit more than just following a pink line on your chart plotter. There's a wee bit more to it to get your navigation sorted, particularly for heading offshore and when you're navigating around some of these reefs and things like that. And we also talk a lot about sort of other ways of navigating up in the islands using things like satellite images to navigate and that kind of stuff as well. So we'll help you with all of that. We work closely with a company called Vortex, which has been developed by one of the rally participants a couple of years ago. The charts in the Southwest Pacific are not accurate, so we use satellite images in certain places just to help with your passage planning and navigating in and out of certain places, and you get a discount on these as well. And we have a training session coming up on these too. Insurance is difficult to get, and so people sort of end up tearing their hair out with insurance. But we'll give you a few tips on getting blue water vessel insurance and also travel insurance for the crew, which is also really important. This is a vessel that was on the Rally in 2023 and hit a reef that wasn't charted. They were traveling late at night and bad visibility, and they thought they were about 500 meters off the reef, but unfortunately it was not charted correctly. So unfortunately, they lost the vessel, and another rally boat rescued them. Documentation. So there's ever-changing compliance and documentation for entering and departing countries. So we'll make sure you know exactly what you need to do on arrival, which forms, we give you all the paperwork. And in fact, if you're going out of New Zealand and through all the islands and into Australia at the end of the season, there's something like 69 pages of documents that you're going to have to print out and complete. So we'll advise you on which ones you need to do and who you need to send them to and by when, and what the local fees are for clearing in and out of each country as well. Another thing to be aware of is CITES, which is a convention that monitors and controls international trade of items containing animals and plants. And so if you're going to be collecting shells or things like that off the beach, then it's important to know which ones you can and can't bring into New Zealand. So we'll do a bit of training on that as well, so you know what you're doing. We have a Rally WhatsApp group chat, which is a great way of keeping in touch with everyone, asking questions, sharing ideas and pictures, and we'll give you discount on getting flags for all the countries that you need to go to as well, the courtesy flags that you need, as well as Predict Wind. We do a lot of work with them on getting tracking the vessels and the fleet, and also weather routing and tools like that. So we'll make sure that you're fully aware of how to use the Predict Wind weather routing tools. And this is what our rally tracker looks like. All these little dots up here are different boats scattered all throughout the Pacific, are the lines of the routes that they've taken. And yeah, we use a Predict Wind rally tracker for that, which can be used with various different methods of hardware to send your position to the tracker. We also have a crew seeker service, which is fantastic for getting crew to come and help you take the boat to and from the islands. And if you haven't done a blue water passage before and you'd like to get some blue water sailing experience on your sailing CV, which will come in really handy for both your IVC certificate but also for your insurance policy, you can join Crew Seeker as well yourselves, and perhaps crew back on one of the rally boats that are coming back in October from this year, and just get that blue water passage ticked off on your sailing CV. And otherwise, we can help match you up with lots of other people that are keen to also get that experience before they too sail offshore themselves. And we've also got professional skippers and crew and that sort of stuff as well. If you are thinking of joining us, I recommend you join early to get the most value. You know, we've got lots of stuff going on and lots of discounts with various suppliers and training sessions and stuff like that. So if you leave it until the last minute, there's a lot to catch up on. So joining early just lets you start early and start taking little bite-sized chunks out of all the jobs to do, and making sure that you arrive relatively relaxed at the other end when you get there. We also send you a rally pack with a rally guidebook, also which has got all sorts of bits and pieces in there, lots of information and information bits and pieces from our sponsors too. Then we have some pre-departure events in the Boatworks in Australia or in Marsden and Opua. I haven't got Marsden written in there, but we do have events planned in Marsden Cove and in Opua, and they're scheduled for late April, early May. And we do all of the really important stuff online, so you're not going to miss out on anything if you can't make it to these departure events. But it's a great way to kind of catch up with all the other rally participants, get to know everyone who's heading in your general direction. And we have lots of briefings from various people. This is Joe from the boatyard in Tonga, so he was doing a bit of a talk about sailing in Tonga and that kind of stuff. So great way to kind of get there, chill out, meet everyone, and be ready to get going when the weather window presents itself. And we do stuff with barbecues at Burns Co and fishing demonstrations. We can sit down and go through the passage and look at the chart and make sure you know exactly which way you're going, that kind of thing as well. And of course, a few social events as well. Great way to get to know each other. And this is Roger from North Sails. He does a fantastic sail repairs at sea session, which everyone really enjoys participating in too. OC tenders, they do a nice visit to their factory as well. And then time to get all your provisioning on board, which of course is a bit of a mission, stowing everything everywhere. Do a bit of boat yoga, maybe get the people next door to come and help you change the filters, whatever you need to do. And then we also do all sorts of other good things, like we try and take up life jackets for people in Tonga, which have been donated by Coast Guard. We do Rotary Club sends up bags of clothing for Tonga. These things is called Days for Girls, which are sanitary kits for girls up in the islands that have been sewn by volunteers in New Zealand. So we have all kinds of fun stuff like that going on that you can participate in if you wish and you have space. You can also take part in a thing called Citizens of the Sea, which is a science project, citizen science project, where you get given training on how to do this, and you deploy this torpedo device here off the back of the vessel for 5 minutes each day whilst you're at sea, and then you take the filters that you've got out of that, the eDNA that you've collected, put it into a test tube and drop it off when you get to the islands at the other end, and that's all analysed by scientists who are studying the ocean. So it's a really fun project to be involved with. No cost to attend or anything. It's just a voluntary thing if you're interested as well. It's a bit more about the thing, the testing. So then it's waiting for a weather window. So we do a lot of training on the weather, and obviously the weather, we can plan everything else, but we can't plan the weather. So getting a good weather window is the key to having a really nice passage up here. And we give you all the information so that you can make the decision as to when you're going to depart. Everyone's got a different appetite for the weather and the weather systems. Some people are happy to go out in something a bit breezier, just so that they get up here and get it going, and they've got good crew that are ready to go on a particular timeline. Other people have no particular deadline and they're happy to wait around for a window. So this season we were aiming to get away on the 4th of May. I think we had about 10 boats get away on the 4th of May. I left on the 10th of May with about another group of about 6 boats. And then the boats after that, a lot of them waited. Some of them waited for up to 6 weeks before they got up to the island. So, but when they did, thankfully, they had an amazing passage. So it's entirely up to you how long you wait. We'll give you lots of training and lots of information about the weather so that you can make a decision as to what's going to suit you best. Then we get everyone together for a bit of a photo before everyone's ready to get going. Fill out all the paperwork at customs, and we'll get customs to come down and tell you all the drill for clearing out. Duty-free fuel is sometimes available, like it was available in Marsden Cove this year, but not in Opua. We're still sort of working on that. And then you're on your way. And casting off your lines and setting sail, that's the hardest part over. Honestly, the preparations and getting to that point where you're actually out on the ocean, now's the time to kind of relax and get into the groove. And of course, we talk about offshore communications, satellite comms such as Starlink, Iridium Go, Iridium Exec, and that sort of stuff. Starlink's unfortunately sort of just announced that they're making some changes to their plans, which is going to make it quite difficult for cruisers and also a little bit more expensive. So we're just going to see how that all pans out. That's predicted to be changed by the 17th of August. So we're watching that really closely as to how that all kind of comes about. So we really need another competitor in the Starlink kind of space, because we've all kind of become very addicted to having high-speed internet when we're offshore. But otherwise, Iridium Go, I think the Iridium constellation's actually been bought recently by the Rocket Lab guys in New Zealand. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that constellation as well. So anyway, we talked to you about all of the comms and the different options available for when you're sailing offshore. As I mentioned before, the tracker, it's really important to be on the tracker because we can easily see where everyone is. Our weather router uses that to kind of give their daily weather briefing. And if you have any issues or problems along the way, we can quickly see who else is nearby and connect you with those vessels and hopefully direct them to give you some support as well. PredictWind also give us a great discount on their weather forecasting stuff, but we also use the wonderful Bob McDevitt, who does our group Ocean Passages weather support. But you can also engage weather routers one-on-one. We've got Bruce Buckley and also John Martin from Ocean Tactics, and they look after people who are wanting some one-on-one assistance if you want to do your own thing or go at a different time. If you've got an HF radio, you can also do a Scared Each Day with Gulf Harbour Radio, Patricia and David, who are currently up here in Fiji on holiday at the moment, I believe. And they stream their broadcast live on YouTube each night so that your friends and family can tune in. So if you've got an HF radio, that's something fun you can do as well. Peter Mott is another great supporter of the rally, and he runs a company called Passage Guardian, and he does daily skids for people, tracks all the vessels, and he's an amazing advocate if you're having any problems whilst you're at sea, and we'll let you know a bit more about his service as we go along too. Kids are very welcome on the rally, and this particular boat had 5 children on board, so they did really well, and they all did the passages and stuff as well. Nice to see them all clipped on here and looking really safe. And hopefully, if we get the weather routing correct, you're going to have a beautiful passage like this where you're all just sailing along and catching up with each other along the way. If not, it might be a bit like this. Actually, that's not in the Pacific. That's down in Foveaux Straits, my friend's Young 88. So quite a small boat, but I quite like the picture, just to give you a bit of an idea of what some conditions can be like. But otherwise, it's probably going to be like this the whole way to Fiji. Maybe not like this the whole way, but hopefully it will be if you have a lovely trip. We have a fun fishing competition where everyone likes to sort of show what they've caught along the way. Some people are a bit more successful than others. And obviously we provide support if things go wrong, and also give you a bit of a briefing on what some of the issues that people have had along the way and how you could potentially avoid them as well. So we've had windlass issues, people running aground, people taking on water, loss of rudders, loss of life rafts, broken rigs, comms issues, electrical battery system problems, engine problems, crew injuries, you name it. We've come across it before, and we're here to provide support if you have any problems, and can connect you with people to kind of come and lend you a hand as well. The support network that the rally provides is actually something really incredible, and often people have got the knowledge or spare parts on their own boats of your systems and are able to kind of come and lend a hand. It's really amazing how people help each other out. It blows me away every day. So back to the map again. Let's have a look at the destinations. As I say, most people departing from New Zealand will go up to Tonga or Fiji first. Most people departing from Australia will go from the Gold Coast up to Noumea first and then hop their way across. And then they'll work their way slowly westwards, or and then back to New Zealand or Australia at the end of the season. And for those in French Polynesia joining us, work their way through Cook Islands, Niue, Tonga, and then either down to New Zealand or onto Fiji. So first stop for most people that are departing from New Zealand will be, many people like to try and get in here if they can, is Minerva Reef. It's about 750, 800 miles from Opua. It's en route, directly en route from Tonga to Fiji. So if you're not wanting to stop, you've got to actually make a note of this to avoid it. It's an amazing place to go and visit. You come in through this little cut in the reef. These little white dots down here are the boats anchored that you can see. This is about 5 nautical miles across, so it's quite a big area. And this is at low tide with the reef all exposed, and at high tide this is covered over and the waves are coming out here. It's quite an amazing thing to be anchored in the middle of the Pacific Ocean in a nice calm patch. This was us in 2024 with a group of people. And this water is like flowing over. I think we we're probably there at mid tide. The waves are all crashing on the reef out here and rushing over the reef, and it's almost like wading through a river standing on here. And it was like a waterfall going over the edge, and so quite a strong current. The dinghy was just sort of getting pulled out the back there. So a beautiful, an amazing place to go and spend a bit of time. And of course, people like to try and go and catch a few of the beautiful lobsters there to eat. And this was one of the rally boats just a couple of weeks ago who were in Minerva Reef in some really beautiful glassy calm conditions and had two whales swimming under their boat. So that was amazing and well worth the wait to get there. Then you'll make landfall and hoist your Q flag, which is the quarantine flag that you need to put up to show that you haven't yet been cleared into the country. And that sort of just identifies you to the local officials that you need to be inspected. Every country is different with their arrival formalities, and we'll make sure that you've got all the documents, cost, and processes detailed with the places that you're visiting. And there are a few little traps for the unwary, so we'll just go through all of that in great detail a bit closer to the time when it comes to filling out all the paperwork. The fees must be paid locally in local currency, and they do vary depending on the day of the week and how many people you've got on board and that kind of thing. So it's all those fees are paid locally, and we'll tell you what those are as we go along. There's lots of paperwork to do. It all takes a bit of time, Fiji time. You've got to be patient and just wait for it all to happen, and it does eventually happen, but there's lots of paperwork and admin to keep on top of. And we'll give you a flag so that they all know that you're on the rally as well, and hopefully take extra special care of you. And then once you're all cleared in, it's time to relax and enjoy. And of course, you can cruise at your leisure. You can have friends and family come and go. But we're always on the other end of the phone if you need any support or have any questions on the way. And we do regular check-ins with everyone on our WhatsApp groups and welcome events and the marinas and stuff that we go to, introducing you to the rest of the rally participants, and a great way to debrief and tell everyone the big stories about the great fish that you caught and the big waves that you saw along the way. This is at Big Mama's Yacht Club in Nuku'alofa. And this is the Royal Tongan Band. They try and put on a bit of a party if everyone arrives at the same time. Of course, there's a bit of kava to be drunk in Fiji as well, which is a bit of fun learning about that process as well. And yeah, just catching up with everyone on the rally and making some really lifelong friends. I love seeing all the relationships that develop with all the rally participants along the way. It's really quite special. So Tonga, I've just been through Tonga. I love Tonga. The best place to arrive into Tonga is at Nuku'alofa, which is the main island down here. That's where the Tongatapu, the capital city, is. There's some interesting things to see and do up there. And then you can cruise up here through the beautiful Hapai group and then on to Vava'u at the top here. And they also have two other little islands, or three other islands up the top here. Nui Tapu Tapu, everyone calls them New Potatoes group. And we've had a few people go up there this year as well, which is quite another special place to go if you want to get off the beaten track. This is Big Mama. She's got an island called Big Mama's Yacht Club, Pangomutu Island, just off Nuku'alofa. She loves welcoming the yachties. Their place was quite badly damaged in the tsunami, so they're still kind of recovering from that, but super welcoming to the yachties. You can go ashore and play sports and buy a few beers and just hang out with her and her family. And then you can do a tour of Tongatapu, go see some of their really interesting history and culture that they've got there. It's got some lovely caves, freshwater caves you can swim in, and their own version of Stonehenge and some blowholes and things like that as well. And we've got some great contacts in Tonga too. So this is Alini down in Tongatapu. He can help you with getting fuel and spare parts and all that kind of stuff. And this is Vi and Greg up in Vava'u, and this is Big Mama and her team in Nuku'alofa as well. So they're amazing. From there, you can head up through to the Hapai group. So there's some stunning places to go along the way. Really, really beautiful anchorages and things to get into. This is actually David's Bay. This is in Vava'u, but you'll be catching up with all your friends that you've just made and lots of social times. And then up into some of these places here. So this is Kanutu Island. And this is quite a terrifying one to come into. We came in here and actually bailed out, but it's got like breaking blind rollers on either side, and it feels very narrow when you're coming into this little gap. But once you get in here, it's quite sheltered and beautiful place to stop and anchor if you've got the right conditions. It was really windy when I was there, and it was a bit sketchy. It's looking at it from the opposite direction. So these waves kind of wrap around the outside, but absolutely gorgeous. And further north through the Hapai group, it's quite low-lying coral atolls. So they've got it's difficult to find a place to shelter from the wind. Like you're not in a nice little snug bay. You can kind of tuck in behind these nice islands and things. But if it's windy like we had, we just didn't have the nice right conditions for sort of being able to stop and explore Hapai as nicely as we wanted to. So you can go to some of the volcanoes we've got, and then up to Vava'u, which is amazing. It really reminds me of like the Marlborough Sounds, these bush-covered hills sort of dropping steeply down into the ocean. And this is David's Bay, or David's Beach. He does like a big feast on the island under this big tree here, and you can book in to go and spend some time with his family there. This is in Hunga, which you have to come in through this quite narrow gap. It's like a volcano rim type thing, which is a beautiful place to come into. And then this is the children's library, and they do lots of stuff there. You can take a book to donate or a musical instrument. They're really enjoying learning to play the ukuleles there as well, which is a nice place to go and meet the kids. And this is Niafu Harbour. They've got lots of moorings and stuff in Niafu Harbour, so most people go and pick up a mooring, and it's about 20 tongan per anga per night to be in there. Otherwise it's quite deep there. But the people really, really love to go to Tonga for the whales, and the whale season starts in July. So if you go there in May, you want to make sure that you hang out long enough to be there for July, and you can go swimming with the whales, which is not something you can do in many places anymore. And it's absolutely spectacular and something, really high on everyone's list to do. Some really cool caves to swim into and stuff as well. And of course, lots of beautiful beaches for bonfires and catching up with all your friends. You can also go visit a village and do a tour and go and learn how to do some weaving and that kind of thing. See the kids in schools doing songs. We also do a few things like beach cleans with the local environmental place. A few parties and things like that. They also have like quiz nights, and you can go to church and listen to the amazing singing and things in here as well, this is the church in Vava'u. Catholic church was beautiful. And the winning quiz team, these guys did the quiz, which was really fun. It's at the Kraken Bar. They do great food there too. And this is the Hideaway floating bar. So they've like got like a raft that you can go and have margaritas and fish and chips on, which is fun. And a botanical gardens, which is really nice. And there's so much to see. Like you can easily spend 6 weeks in Tonga, or some people are spending the whole 6 months. We've got one boat in particular that's spending the whole 6 months in Tonga, and still wouldn't sort of scratch the surface. But this is the customs office where you'll come to clear out of the country again, do all your paperwork, and then set sail to Fiji. It's about a 3-day passage from Tonga to Fiji, and about 400 miles. When you come into Fiji from Tonga, you'll typically come in through this way. You can come in through any of these sort of passes here. We came in through below Vanuatu, and you can't stop in these islands here. This is the Lau group in Fiji, so you mustn't stop here until you've cleared in first at Savu. And previously we have done clearances and flown all the officials out to Vanuatu, but in recent years it's just been too expensive to do that. They've been wanting to charge us about $4,000 per boat to do it, and to be honest, it's not worth that. Clearing in at Savu, where I am now, is highly recommended. It's an amazing place to come and visit, and really good provisioning, a great place to kind of catch your breath, and then you're kind of really centrally located for whichever way you decide to go from here. So I've just spent the last 3 weeks cruising around this part of Fiji, which has been gorgeous. If you get the right weather window, a lot of people like to boost it straight down here to Whalunga, and which is one of the really popular places in Fiji to visit. And then you can cruise your way north again, or you can go to Vanuatu, which is beautiful. When I leave here in Savu, I'm going to leave here. I'm going to come down through these islands. We've got Koro Island, Makungai. I'm going to come down to Kandavu and then around to Nadi and clear out and go to to Vanuatu, sorry. But often people just like to come in here as well and clear in at Nadi at Denarau Vunda, and then cruise up here through the Mamanuca and Yasawa group of islands, which is sort of the more touristy side of Fiji, but also extremely beautiful. You won't be able to cover the whole of Fiji in a season. There's 333 islands to explore, but we'll do a really thorough passage planning session with you so you know exactly where you might like to go and try to go to. Here is Ngawi Island Marina. I'm parked exactly here at the moment. They've got a swimming pool and they've got restaurants and bars and a little ferry that goes across here. This is the Copper Shed Marina, which is another marina with the original marina that was here. There's lots of moorings and bits and pieces throughout here as well. These villas and stuff like that aren't here yet, so they're looking at developing and adding hotels and all sorts of stuff here. And this is the main town of Savu, so everything's right on your doorstep. There's supermarkets, pharmacies, hardware, you name it, it's all up there. This is the fuel dock, so it's easy to fill up with fuel. And yeah, it's a really cool place. This is the queue dock where you'll clear in. There's great markets and a real Indian feel here as well. So you get lots of nice herbs and spices and bits and pieces as well. And then you'll also need to buy some kava, which you'll need for your sevu sevu. So kava is the root of a plant that the Fijians grind up to make kava, and it's a drink that they drink, but it's also something that you need to do to when you go to each village, you need to take a bundle of kava with you to present to the chief, and it's called sevu sevu, and we'll tell you all about that as well a bit further on. Once you get a bit closer to arriving in Fiji. But it's a really important part of Fijian culture, and it just shows that you respect their culture and that you're going to take them a bundle of kava and go and introduce yourself when you go to any village. So here's some nice Fijian warriors that I met the other day. Very nice. So this is the kava, and these guys, this is Tony and Jackie meeting one of the chiefs, and they've brought a bundle of kava, you can see just in the bottom here, and you head ashore and you introduce yourself to the chief and go and sit with him and tell him, you know, who you are and where you've come from and how long you're likely to stay. He'll accept your kava and welcome you to the village, and then you're welcome to spend as much time as you want. You're sort of part of their family after that. The marinas often put on a little training session for you so that you can learn what kava's all about and have a taste of it as well if you want to, which is kind of a peppery kind of taste, makes your tongue go a little bit numb. It's always a bit of fun to take part and give it a bit of a try. There's lots of yachty friendly resorts. This is at Vianney Bay where they do an amazing potluck dinner for the cruisers. They let you use their facilities and give you great discounts and things. I was in here just last week and it's gorgeous. They've got 3 little villas here if you've got people wanting to come and stay, but you can anchor out here and head ashore each evening for their happy hour. And they've got really lovely snorkeling and stuff around here as well. It's based on the Rainbow Reef, so very famous Fijian dive site out here. And they took us on this incredible trip to visit the manta rays. So this is one of my photos from the manta rays a couple of weeks ago. And I was literally like this close to a manta ray. There were 5 of them swirling around. It was an incredible experience. And these are huge, like you wouldn't fit them in your cockpit of your boat type thing. These are massive animals. I think there's like 4 meters across, or fish. I'm not sure whether mammals or fish. And then Paradise Taviuni, another amazing place to go and spend some time. You might have seen on the Facebook page, they're delivering cinnamon buns to the boats every day, every morning. Someone kayaks out to you with a cinnamon bun, and you can stay on the moorings out here for free and then just go ashore and use all their facilities, hang out by the pool, have a massage, go to their bakery, eat dinner in their restaurant. They're super welcoming to the cruisers and are definitely a place that you need to go and visit. This is down in Vanua-Balavu. This is Sisui Village. This man is Jacob. He's the head man. And again, they love welcoming sailors to come and take part. You can go and join them for lunch on Sunday, learn how to do weaving, hang out with the kids, that sort of thing. Really, really awesome. This is also in Vanua-Balavu. This is at the plantation in Batavu Harbour, and you can take a walk. There's a really nice track up here to the top of the hill, and you can hang out. It's beautiful sheltered anchorage, and at the top of the walk you can look down on this area here, which is the Bay of Islands, and a beautiful place. I'm sure you've probably seen the Bay of Islands in many of the photos that I've been sharing on Facebook. But Delathoni Village is the village that looks after the Bay of Islands, and this is where you need to go to do your sevu sevu before you go and anchor in this beautiful place. So it's very, very special. Lots more chances to catch up with everyone. Of course, it's all very fluid. Everyone's just sort of radios and says, hey, we're going shore for a barbecue or a bonfire. Does anyone want to come? This is all very sort of ad hoc, and people often do like a dinghy raft up and stuff like that as well, which is a bit of fun too. You can see, oh, that was a picture of the dinghies floating around in some of the places you can get into with the keel boats. Yoga on the beach with the girls, or just hang out on your own. You don't need to be joining in with all these social events and activities if you don't want to. There's plenty of places in Fiji where you can get away from it all and just be completely isolated all by yourself, or hang out with your new friends. But the thing to be aware of in Fiji is that the navigation is challenging and the charts are not accurate. You need to have your eyes and your wits about you as you're going in and out of these places. And so we'll tell you all of the things that you need to watch out for. And just really mark one eyeball is the key here. But having some really solid navigational skills as well is really important. So I recommend, if you haven't done any navigation training, to do the RYA navigation course, and we can get you a discount on that too. This is down in Whalonga. That pass there is Whalonga, which is where a lot of people have been hanging out. Some of the rally boats have been down there for 2 months now in Whalonga, which is a pretty good, they must have done very good provisioning, because there's no shops or anything down there. So everyone loves spending time in this really, really incredible part of the world, doing some boat jobs, of course. There's always boat jobs to do. And you can go and visit their cave, Cave of Bones, which has got a really interesting story too. And the people here are really living just as they did, hundreds of years ago, in really remote places, and fishing and just growing their food and that sort of thing. It's amazing. But you'll make lots of friends. Fijian people are so welcoming and warm. Like, you genuinely feel like you're welcome to stay and be part of their community. They really want to engage and hang out with you. And they really love it when you can help them fix stuff as well. And this is Martin, who managed to help fix the local village generator, and he was a celebrity after that, which was really awesome. And of course, kids are really welcome too. You can see this was Rob's and Hannah. Many of you might know these guys from New Zealand, but their kids were just like fully, playing with all these little Fijian kids. It was amazing. Great diving, of course, in Fiji. Manta rays, as I mentioned before. There's shark dives as well if you're into that. But even just snorkeling, the coral and things here is so colourful, and fish are so plentiful. It's amazing. And there's so many places you can go and visit. Like, these guys headed out to the Ringgold Islands, which is just north of where I've been cruising as well. And you can take a tour up to the top of this hill, which is where these guys took that photo last year. And some of this really interesting stuff as well. Like, this is an island where they've found this cannon at the top of the hill, and the local village says that the women actually took it up there, and who knows where they found it or how or when it got up there. But the climb to get up there is quite a steep scramble, and it's obviously a very heavy cannon. So I'm not entirely sure how they did get it up there, but it's a pretty cool place to go and visit. Many of you know this one from the Blue Lagoon movie. That's the cave, the surfing. Obviously, the Cloudbreak surf break is super popular for the surfies, and kids are very welcome. I think we've got about 40 kids on the rally list this year. I think we had 60 kids last year. So there's lots of families that are out there cruising, taking their kids out for a year or two or even longer, and exploring, and they'll be warmly welcomed by everyone along the way as well. This is Musket Cove, another popular place on the rally agenda, if you like. Often some people on the rally just come up and sail up and park up in Musket Cove and stay there for the entire season. It's a great place to come. This is the Island Bar here, and you can tie your dinghies up along this side, and even med more up here into their little marina dock, and join in their famous Musket Cove Regatta. Dress up as pirates, do beach cleans, and lots of great parties, and of course a bit of yacht racing as well if you're interested in that. And most of these people are literally just sailing their houses around the island. You can still take part in the regatta without having to race, though. Everyone takes on extra crew on their boats to help them. So only a handful of the boats actually do the racing. The rest of the time, it's more the social side of things. But they also have a very hotly contested Hobie Cat regatta as well, match racing regatta. And then it's still time to keep your eye on those reefs and things. Just make sure that you know that the reefs in Fiji are not well charted, and you just need to keep your eyes open. And often people, even really experienced people, do run aground, just letting their guard down. You sort of get into a bit holiday mode and get a bit relaxed, and it's easy to hit something and need to then get repaired, which is really annoying. Fiji's really worried at the moment about yachties trafficking drugs around the Pacific. So at the moment, this is just a couple of weeks ago, this is the US Coast Guard who are in Fiji helping them check boats. So quite a big chunk of the boats on the rally up here this season have been boarded and searched by these guys. Generally, they're just checking people's papers and just asking you where you've been and what you're doing and making sure that you're complying with all the paperwork and stuff like that. So it's nothing to be worried about. We've been working really closely with these guys to make sure that they sort of understand things from an honest yachty's perspective as well. They're not looking for the honest guys, they're looking for the people that are trafficking the drugs. So they're doing their bit to try and make Fiji safe. Then after Fiji, it's on to Vanuatu. And again, some people sail directly from New Zealand to Vanuatu. Most people will enter down here at Tanna, which is the island with the volcano, and then work their way north with the trade winds. Remember we're talking about those southeast trades. It's easier to start here and work your way north and west than it is to try and go the opposite direction. Port Vila is where the airport is. There's also an airport here in Santo at the top. I'm going to be clearing in at Tanna, going up to Erromango and working my way up here to Santo and clear out from there to go to New Caledonia. I'm not going to have as much time as I wanted to this time, but really interesting place. The volcano is super dangerous, but also really exciting and interesting place to go and visit. And Vanuatu, they really are still living really traditional villages and cruising around in these awesome canoes and things like that. So the volcano, you literally drive up and then walk up the top of the rim of this volcano, and you're standing on the very little lip of this volcano, peering down into a erupting volcano. It's terrifying. If you fall this way, you're going to fall down the mountain. If you fall this way, you're going to fall into the lava. If you're taking kids, make sure that you've got your hands on them. There's no handrails or any health and safety or anything. Or maybe there is a handrail. There you go. There's one. But yeah, literally, you're sort of looking into this erupting crater. It's extremely exciting, but also quite terrifying. But yeah, everyone sort of likes to go up and do it if they can. So amazing to go and visit. But again, a lot of these villages really love welcoming the rally participants, and you can go ashore and they'll just welcome you with open arms and teach you about their way of life. And yeah. This is Port Vila, and they've got a marina here called Yachting World, and you can med moor up here, and they've got all these amazing moorings and stuff as well, fire shows. And if you want to do you don't do it, obviously go and watch the Pentecost land diving. This is from April until June each season, so you have to get there early on in the season if you want to be part of this amazing experience. And other places have got, other things that like to entice yachties with kayaks and lakes, and they've made little yacht clubs with flags and stuff where everyone's written their boat names on, and you might be invited to stay for dinner or for lunch and just be part of their amazing culture. Also have some incredible festivals as well, which I'm hoping to get to one this year in September. And they do this fascinating sand drawing, and the women do this amazing water music as well, where they cup their hands to make sounds with the water. It's pretty special. And then on to New Caledonia. I'm hoping this year we might be able to do a clearance in the Loyalty Islands. I've got the permission to do it, but I just haven't got the pricing yet. So we're just waiting to see how that might pan out. You get 90 days in New Caledonia. So for the Australians who are sailing across, normally they'll arrive in Noumea and cruise around here and work their way eastwards over to Vanuatu. The political situation there seems to be quite stable this season, and there's some incredible sailing. We've had some people that have done a whole circumnavigation and been around the whole thing. They've been there for quite a long time now, a couple of months. So there's easily, you can spend a lot of time in New Caledonia. It's incredible. Some really amazing people there. This is Clementine, who looks after us in the rally boats, and Richard Cheshire, who has the rocket guides, and he's a really great wealth of information there as well. The locals are different people to the Fijians. Sometimes you might not feel quite as welcome there, but a lot of the places do still make you feel welcome. So it's just a matter of picking and choosing and just being sensitive to the fact that it's not like Fiji where everyone really wants you to be there. Sometimes some of the people might not want you to be there. So it's just sort of testing the waters wherever you go. We've got some great marine facilities there in New Cal as well. The locals are really keen sailors, so there's lots of marinas and really amazing chandleries and repairs and that sort of stuff. Well worth a visit. And then it's time to head home. So you can either return back to New Zealand or go on to Australia. Some people stay up in the islands, some people carry on to Indonesia. The choice is yours. You don't have any obligation to do any of those. Most people start looking at going around mid-October or at your own leisure. And again, we'll make sure that you're fully aware of all the biosecurity requirements for New Zealand and Australia, which is just a bit more strict than everywhere else. It is possible to stop in Norfolk Island if you're coming back from Newcastle, but often if the weather's good, people just prefer to keep going. So back on passage starts to get a bit colder as you head south, of course. And then obviously making sure that the boats are complying with all the biosecurity and biofouling regulations on arrival. So you can still join the rally and sail independently and depart at a different time or stay up in the islands. You can participate in all the workshops. You can travel in a different direction. You can just sign up to the whole social side of it, or you can just do your own thing. Some people are just off doing their completely own thing. So we're just here to help support your adventures, whichever way you go and whatever kind of trip that you're wanting to have. Our dates, we sort of like to meet at our departure points in late April-ish, and we've got those dates coming up on our website. We do all the pre-departure activities for those that want to get together and go in that first group departure. Wait for the weather window and generally aim to leave around early May. We probably won't be doing allow entry. I've got that on there. It's just because it's too expensive and I just don't think it's worth it. And choose your destinations, return to New Zealand, Australia, mid-October, or sail to your own schedule. So the cost for next year is 1,895 per vessel, which is around 1,600-ish Australian, plus your annual membership subscription for you or the skipper and the crew member, and any other add-ons. Additional costs are like entry country fees, which are paid individually and locally in local currency, any optional add-ons, insurance, marina fees, and any personal expenses, meals and drinks at the events. So you'll need a sense of adventure and a sense of humour to have you, your crew, and your vessel well prepared for the adventures ahead. New Zealand registered vessels only require an IVC safety certificate. Nobody else does. AIS is highly recommended. In fact, it's essential in Fiji. Also, the ability to receive email at sea via satellite or SSB connection to get your weather updates, and hopefully Starlink will have sorted its pricing out by then, and obviously valid passports. And a $600 deposit secures your place on the rally. Join early to get the most benefit, and full payment is due on the 1st of March. And if for any reason you can't travel next season, we can transfer your deposit over to a later date if you're unable to travel. So there's no sort of risk that you're going to lose everything. We're super flexible and we understand that life and health and boats and everything and family gets in the way. So we're very happy to roll it over if you for any reason that you can't make it. So in summary, why join the rally? It's flexible, it's fun, training, advice, discounts, documentation, lots of information and support along the way. We'll save you loads of time doing the research and lots of money with all the discounts from our generous sponsors, and ensure that you feel confident, well prepared and supported along the way. So any questions? I'll stop sharing my screen so I can see all your faces. I know there's a few in here. Where are we? No questions in the chat box anyway at the moment. I've run through that all really quickly, but I keep adding amazing photos of everyone doing things. So if anyone's got any questions, please sing out now. Just take yourselves off mute, and I'm happy to answer anything, or you can message me.
Hello, Vicky. I got
Hello.
a question.
Yes.
Hello, this is Manu here, Marta here.
Hey, how are you guys?
Hey, good. And we have a kite over there. We have a kid, and then we have a dog. Did you had any rally member with a dog, like travel with pet? Did one of these?
Yeah, so we've got we've got lots of cats on the rally this year. We haven't got any dogs this season. We have had dogs before. I know there's someone else that's looking at bringing a dog next year. You need to be prepared for a lot of extra paperwork and cost and administration. And we've got a bit of information about that on our website. We also put the people that are traveling with pets together in their own WhatsApp group so that you can all sort of confer on how you're working through all the paperwork and things. I'd recommend that you do your due diligence for all of the places that you're looking at going to and returning back to, because there's things like rabies tests and things like that that need to be done within a particular time period. So, yeah, we've got lots of information. So drop me a message and I can hook you up with all of that. And but the regulations change regularly, so we just encourage you to do your own due diligence and get all the approvals from all the
Yep.
places that you're wanting to go to in advance.
Cool. Right. Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you
no
for that.
problem.
We'll have a veterinarian next year, so you will have some help if you want.
Oh,
Because my
great.
husband is a veterinarian.
Excellent. That's really useful because, yeah, some of these places don't have vets.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Laura.
I
That'll
have
be
a
amazing.
question to I have a question to Vicky
Sure.
about the draft. So we have a 2.3 draft.
Yeah.
So is it difficult to go in a lot of those marinas or around those islands? Is it a challenge or not really?
No,
Because I
not
see a lot of
really.
cats. The cats don't draw anything or
Yeah, the cats can get in a bit closer, absolutely. But I've got 2.1 meter draft and I haven't had any problems. Some of the anchorages can be quite deep, like I'd recommend having
Hmm,
sort of at least 100 meters of chain. I've got at times we've been
yeah.
anchoring in 18 to 20 meters. So yeah, definitely worthwhile having being confident with your anchoring. But 2.3 meters is fine. I've had a 3 meter draft boat on the rally before.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay.
you just got to
Thanks.
be careful. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I've had another message in the chat box down here. Is Cruiseseeker a good way to potentially get a spot on a boat returning to Australia? Yes, definitely. It's totally a great way of getting that blue water experience. So for New Zealand vessels, you need to have the blue water experience for your IVC. The skipper needs to have done an offshore trip before. So Cruiseseeker is a great way of doing that. So if you're already a member, Cruiseseeker is free for you. You just need to send me through a bio and a photo, and I can get you set up, and you'll start getting the notifications of all the boats that are looking for crew coming up. So there's always stuff going on. Yeah, definitely.
So,
Or
Vicky,
Yes, Andrew.
I've got a question. In terms of if you're sailing from New Zealand to Fiji, would Savu Savu still be the best place to go, do you reckon? Or, I mean, to clear in? Is
Yeah,
that,
definitely. Particularly if you're wanting to explore the eastern side. Some people that go into the west side, so Vunda or Denarau, maybe they've got friends and family coming and flying in and out, and they just want to hang out around that Muscat Cove side. If you want to go and explore the eastern side, like the Lau group and that kind of thing, it's definitely easier to start to clear in at Savu Savu, and then you're just sort of it's right there on your doorstep. Yeah. Otherwise, you've got to work your way back against those trade winds to get over to the east. So easier to start there for sure.
okay, I might send you another few more detailed queries, but I'll do that separately.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look forward to it.
Okay, thank you.
Shay's asked, have you received any detail on what the boat requirements are for the IVC? Is there anyone we can talk to about what they would be looking for? We have a try, which in the past hasn't ticked all the Cat 1 boxes. So Shay, definitely trimarans are totally able to be going offshore, and the rules have changed a little bit when it went from the Cat 1 to the IVC. They do look at the sort of structural integrity of the boat, but not in such great detail. It used to be kind of a more of a racing standard. I guess Cat 1 was more of a racing, going sort of Southern Ocean racing standard, whereas now it's a little bit more relaxed. But yeah, we can definitely connect you to the people to talk about any concerns that you've got there. So again, just drop me a message and I can connect you up with the Cat 1 people.
Yeah, that'd be
Um,
great.
yeah,
I tried to talk to some Cat 1 people, and they were like, "Oh, we don't know what's happening. We've bowed out of it. There's only one guy in Auckland you can talk to, and no one knew who it was."
yeah, no,
So
I've
if you
got
have
it
got contacts, that would be great.
totally. Drop me a message. I'll hook you up with them. No problem.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank
All
you.
right.
I met the guy that does the IVC, and I was going to go a different route, and I looked at the requirements, and it's not that bad. And when I spoke to the guy, they've become a lot more relaxed.
They are. They're very pragmatic. You know, they'll want you to go and come back and have a good time. You know, like they're not going to stop you from leaving generally, but they also want to make sure that you're going to be safe. So it's I think eventually Cat 1 or the IVC actually will probably be dropped, and it'll be more of a skipper's declaration to say that you've done it. So it's not, it's, you know, sometimes people think that it's just this insurmountable thing. It's definitely not, you know. They just want to make sure that your boat is seaworthy, that yours, you know, qualified to go offshore, and that you've got the correct safety equipment on board. And that's it really. We help you with everything else as well. There's a bit of stuff to do, you know, box ticking, but you know, we'll give you all the templates you need to just make it super easy. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Is it
because
harder getting someone to go with you that's got blue water experience?
Nope, not hard at all. So we've got a really good crew seeker list of people that have done lots of passages and stuff before and just really enjoy going and doing passages. So sometimes with like experienced crew members, you might need to kind of pay their flights and, you know, cover their costs and things like that. Other times people are wanting to kind of get that experience themselves to go offshore. So if you haven't done a trip, I'd recommend trying to join one of the rally boats this year, coming back, and then you've got that box ticked on your own sailing CV, and it works well for your insurance company as well as the IVC having that blue water experience. But definitely not a problem to find experienced crew to help you, for sure.
Vicky, Richard Forrest, you were saying that Starlink might have a few issues and Iridium Go might be a reasonable option. Could you expand on that, please?
Yeah, so Starlink just last week made this announcement that they are only going to, at the moment, we're all on what's called like a Roam Unlimited package. So everyone up here, well, most people up here are on a Starlink plan using a Starlink Mini. And at the moment, it's costing us about $200 a month to be in Fiji for unlimited data, which is amazing and everyone's loving it. And when you go offshore, you pay per gigabyte. So it's like $3 per gigabyte. So for the trip up to from New Zealand up to Tonga, I had 4 crew and everyone was sending videos to their girlfriends and stuff. And it was all, you know, I think we paid another $300 on top of that for our data, which I didn't think was too bad. But now there's making it that the cost for the monthly plan will be more like 240 New Zealand dollars. And then, so they're basically getting rid of our plan, but then you have to pay per bundle of data. And so like, depending on how much data you use, like some of the people here are working and some of them are YouTubers and some of them are you know, got kids that are on videos and doing stuff for school and things like that online, or people working. So it's cost, you know, if they're using lots and lots of data, it could cost them thousands of dollars a month as opposed to $200 a month. So they're sort of,
And the Iridium Go option?
yeah.
And the Iridium Go option?
Iridium
What's
Go,
the upside and downside of that, please?
Iridium Go is slow. So Iridium is slow. It's a slow, like the downloading, it's like, remember 3G, you know, and trying to down a lot of the websites and stuff that we're using now, super data heavy and things like that. So PredictWind's got this special app called the Offshore app, which is sort of like a light version. So it doesn't use up a whole lot of data to download a weather forecast, but you can really only use it to send and receive like text messages and download a weather forecast. You can't use it to send a photo or anything like that. And it was quite expensive compared to Starlink. Like using an Iridium Go was more like, depending on the plan that you had, again, it was different sort of levels of data, but it was more expensive and a lot slower. So it's definitely nowhere
Thank
near
you.
as good as Starlink. But yeah, we might just end up we've all just become addicted to Starlink, and being able to do these Zoom calls in the middle of the ocean, and now they're changing the plans and everyone's freaking out. The reason Starlink's doing it is because I think people are kind of using Starlink in countries where Starlink isn't regulated. So obviously like say you've got a Starlink account in New Zealand and you're a New Zealander, then they're obviously paying a cut of your monthly subscription to the New Zealand government. But if you're in Fiji using Starlink that's registered in a New Zealand country, then the Fijians aren't getting anything out of it, So I think it's regulatory requirements that are forcing them to kind of make this change, but it doesn't make it any easier for us. But yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah.
2 years from now, China is busy with their version of Starlink, and it's about 2 years away.
Yeah, wow, that'd be great. And Amazon's got one coming as well, don't they? So,
oh wow, awesome.
yeah.
How are you getting away with 200 odd bucks a month? I thought it's like $1,000 for unlimited Starlink for blue water sailing.
That was the marine plan. So that was more for
Yes.
like commercial vessels and stuff. And so I think potentially they're just cracking down on the fact that we've been doing this roam plan and getting away with it. Like I think like I've got a Mini on my boat, and it's great because it doesn't draw much power, and it works like flawlessly offshore. It was amazing. And so the maritime plan for commercial ships and things, they were paying more like $1,000 a month. So I think they're just trying to sort of close the loophole that we've been in.
Okay.
Right. Let me see what else. What are the requirements for offshore coastal mileage for IVC? So they want to have, the skipper is supposed to have blue water sailing experience on their sailing CV for the IVC. So again, I highly recommend doing a passage with one of the rally boats this year if you don't have it. If you have done like thousands and thousands of coastal miles, say you've done like a circumnavigation of New Zealand, they probably will accept that as well. They just want to see that you've got a lot of experience with coastal cruising. So yeah, again, we can put you in touch with the IVC assessor, and we give you some ideas about how to put together your sailing CV, and you could just put that to the IVC assessor and just say, will he accept this? But yeah. We've limited time for the rally, maybe 6 weeks. Should we go up with everyone and leave the yacht up there and come back in October, or should we just head up in September for 5 weeks and then come home? Good question, Paul. Having the flexibility to find the weather window is the key, and if you've got a limited time, it kind of puts everyone under quite a bit of pressure. So I would sort of say go up and leave the boat and then come back and bring it back later, or just have that flexibility. But yeah, it's really hard. Like some of the boats, as I say, they were delayed for 6 weeks in Opua waiting for the weather window this year. So it's really hard to say how it'll work out. But you do need to you don't want to kind of have some sort of time pressure that's forcing you to make a decision and depart on a bad window. Like having some flexibility to leave the boat somewhere and fly home and go back later and get it is probably the key. Yeah. Can we start traveling east from Australia from January, or the rally, does it cover because it's cyclone season? Typically, no, we don't sort of depart in January. Like people generally don't go and sail in that part of the world in January. If you're up in the islands already, people do sort of stay up here and kind of cruise, but we don't encourage people to depart at that time. We don't have any of the support services, and all the rally content is kind of ramped up to depart in May. So all of our training kind of happens from January to May, in terms of our webinars and that kind of stuff. So it's not to say that you couldn't go then, but it's just the timing probably just doesn't quite work out correctly to kind of go that way at that time. But yeah.
Do you know if
Any-
any other people are within the rally are actually going to Indonesia and so on? I really don't want to come back to New Zealand. I would like to go elsewhere for the cyclone season and then come back again.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, you can totally do that. And there's lots of people that carry on to Indonesia. So at the moment, we've got 200 and something like 230 boats on the rally, and a lot of them will come back to New Zealand. A lot of them will end up in Australia. Some of them will stay up in the islands, and some of them will carry on to Indonesia. And some of them still haven't made up their minds yet, and they're already up here. So they're kind of, I'm like, which way are you going? And they're like, I don't know. We quite like it here. We might just stay for a while. Then, So the plans are kind of really fluid, but definitely people do carry on to Indo. Our sort of content sort of stops, that Tonga, Fiji, Vanuatu, New Caledonia content. Once you kind of get out of that, you're kind of outside of our patch. We don't really know much about the Indonesia side of things, but we connect you with all the other rally boats that are heading that way, and yeah, you can all kind of collaborate and head off together. So yeah. So that's not a problem. Any ideas of boats that will join from Australia aside from us next year? I think I've got 25 boats registered already. So, and I think about 7 or 8 of those are Australian boats at this stage. So yeah, there'll definitely be lots of Aussies. I think we had about 45 Australian boats this year.
Vicky,
Yes.
Vicky, with cyclones, Richard Forrest speaking.
Hey, Richard.
Cyclones, how much warning have you got before those little guys come down on you? And what's the period of time that you're going to be affected by them? And where do you hide?
So the idea is that we're not there in cyclone season. So that's why we depart in May and come back in mid-October. So typically a low pressure tropical low will only form when the sea temperature is a certain temperature level, and it's got sort of certain other conditions, atmospheric conditions, that will cause it to happen. So we like to try and leave it until May, which is the official end of cyclone season. That's not to say that a cyclone couldn't develop within that time, and this year we did have tropical lows forming and sort of whirling down through the Tasman. They are typically quite well forecast. And we do have strategies for what we'd do if people were kind of out in those conditions. But the weather forecasting is pretty good these days, And sometimes you'll get more wind than you were expecting. Like I think I sort of saw at least 10 knots more than I had in the forecast, but it wasn't a cyclone, So it was uncomfortable conditions when we sailed up, but it wasn't a tropical cyclone. So there are ways that you can do it. You can turn around and come back to New Zealand. You can heave to and wait for it to pass above you, depending on where you are as well. It's a bit of different strategies for that. But the idea is that we're not there in that period.
And generally, what month of the year would you be leaving that area from your experience?
I come back mid-October. My insurance company requires me to be back in New Zealand by 1 November.
Okay. Who's your insurance company, please?
My insurance company is Vero.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mark said needing crew to Newcastle. We can help with that, Mark. Just drop me a message. A Mini is not for offshore use, and now Starlink are turning the screw on Mini users. It's all Starlink users, and I have got the Mini, and it does work really well offshore. It's actually better than the other dish because you can leave it plugged in all the time. I'm on Mini Starlink now, so it's been working really well. But and it works perfectly all the way on passage as well, and you can leave it turned on the whole time because it's not drawing so much power. Whereas when we had the big dish, because it drew so much power, we'd have to turn it off all the time, and then it would take ages to kind of crank back up again. So the Mini, most of the boats have got Mini offshore at the moment.
The new V4X doesn't draw as much. I went for that instead of the Mini, and mine's on permanently.
Perfect. Yeah, great. No, it's good.
Yeah, then that's a new one.
Technology's changing so rapidly, Like there's new dishes every year. It's amazing.
But it's a massive dish.
Yeah. Amazing. Shay, is it a hassle to change crew last minute with the IVC? Not if they've got the minimum level of qualifications. So they'll just assign people over. So with the IVC, you've got to have, the skipper's got to have blue water passage experience. The skipper needs to have a marine medic certificate, a VHF operator's certificate, and a sea survival certificate. And then the crew, all the crew on board, 30% of the crew need to have a marine medic and a sea survival certificate, and one of your crew members needs to be able to take over in the event that the skipper is incapacitated. So say you've got like 4 crew and your right hand woman or man is the it also has the same sort of qualifications as you, and it's one of the other extra add-on crew that sort of drops off and needs to be changed, that won't necessarily be a problem. But if your main key person drops out and the people that you've got coming with you are newbies and they don't have those qualifications, then that will be a problem. So it's sort of having a few backups is quite a good idea. Chriso is going to Indonesia. Yay, Amy. Oh, that's awesome. I look forward to hanging out with you guys again. I love these guys. They're awesome people. Right, we won't have an address for December. Will this be a problem to send out stuff by post? I do send a rally pack, and we can send it to a marina where you're going to be, and that's in March. So that's not a problem. Any motorboats registered yet? Not yet, but that's not to say that it won't happen. As I say, I did have some registered this year that dropped out, so I'm expecting that they'll rejoin us again for next year. Andrew's off. No problem, Andrew. We'll catch up with you later. Do we have many kids for next year? I think so far, yeah, I think we've got like 6, I think, so far off the top of my head. So yeah, lots of kids. Other few people mentioning it. That's awesome. Top pick, pick a spare unregistered mini in one of the boats. Jenny Lou lost theirs. They did too, and they were able to give them our spare in Minerva. Great tip. Yes, I wish I had a spare one. I actually got my old dish as my spares, but I would like to have a mini as a spare. And they're not that expensive. Like I bought mine, I think, for $250, my mini, which is not a bad deal. I think they're more like $400 at the moment, but that was just a special on with Noel Leeming, so. I think that's all my messages in the chat, unless anyone's got any other questions. I know I've kept you on for ages, so feel free to drop me a message directly. I'm really happy to answer any other questions. I'll also send you an email with the recording of this and a link to the website that's got all the other inclusions and the registration form and that kind of thing. Happy to answer any questions or put you in touch with any of those people if you've got any queries. And yeah, lovely to see you guys. I really look forward to the adventure next year. It's so much fun, honestly, being up here. It's just been great, and you're gonna love it. It's an amazing adventure. Great. I'll sign off.
Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you very much.
So good to see you. Cheers, guys. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.